This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. Most men ask for the wrong things. They ask for treasure before they ask for sight. They pray for victory without the discipline to wield it. They chase crowns, yet lack the wisdom to carry the weight of one. But Baldwin IV, a young king stricken with sickness yet remembered for strength, carried something most warriors never touch, wisdom deeper than his wounds. He didn't rise because of muscle. He didn't rule because fortune smiled. He stood because he understood. And understanding, my friend, is a rarer jewel than all the gold buried beneath mountains. Think about it. A king eaten alive by disease should have been pitied, forgotten, left in the shadows of stronger men. Yet Baldwin held dominion. Leaders who mocked him still bent the knee. Enemies who despised him still respected him. Not because he swung the heaviest sword, but because he carried an unseen authority. Wisdom made the lame into a lion. Now let me ask you plain. How many times have you worked yourself weary, breaking your back for scraps, only to feel empty at sundown? How often have you thought, if I just push harder, if I just grind longer, maybe then I'll be whole? Yet your soul remains restless. That because effort without wisdom is labor without fruit. It a cart pulled in circles, sweat poured out, but no distance gained. See, Baldwin knew what most men miss. He knew wealth without wisdom is a curse. Power without wisdom is tyranny. Even faith without wisdom turns into blind superstition. But wisdom is the seed that grows into every true abundance. Gold will flee a fool, but it will chase a wise man. Power will devour the proud, but it will serve the wise. Even suffering bends its knee to wisdom, for the man who understands can turn pain into strategy, loss into strength. I want you to hear this. Wisdom ain't just knowledge. Knowledge fills the head. Wisdom governs the heart. Knowledge can be memorized, copied, stolen. Wisdom must be lived, tested, forged in silence, born in reflection. That's why Baldwin, even stricken with pain, ruled with more dignity than warriors in their prime, because he carried a vision most couldn't see, that the root of greatness is not conquest but comprehension. Look at your own life. You've read the books, chased the mentors, repeated the mantras, and yet something missing. You can feel it, that ache of confusion, that quiet sense that you're running but not arriving, that because you've pursued results without building law, you've chased success without planting roots. Baldwin's secret was this: he pursued wisdom first. He asked not, "What must I do to be admired?" but "What must I understand to endure?" Let me put it in cowboy plain. A rancher who don't understand the land won't hold cattle long. A prospector who don't understand the earth will break his back digging where no gold lies. But a man who sees deeper, who understands the lay of the soil, the turning of the seasons, the flow of the rivers, that man prospers while others perish. That wisdom. And hear me, wisdom isn't about appearing smart. It's about seeing order where others see chaos. It's about hearing silence and understanding what it says. It's about knowing when to fight and when to stand still, when to speak and when to keep your mouth shut. Baldwin was young, but he held the silence of an old man. That silence carried more weight than any crown. So tonight, as you listen, understand this isn't history. This isn't just about Baldwin IV. This is about you, about the life you're trying to build and why it still feels fragile. Because until you lay down wisdom as your foundation, every victory will feel temporary, every success hollow, every gain fleeting. The good news, wisdom is not hidden from you, it waits. It waits in the quiet you avoid, in the scriptures you skim, in the lessons you rush past. It waits in the failures you despise, the betrayals that broke you, the setbacks that humbled you. Baldwin's disease could have crushed him. Instead, it became his teacher. Yours can too if you let it. But first, you must decide, will you keep begging for crowns, or will you seek the understanding that makes crowns inevitable? Will you keep sweating for scraps, or will you dig for the wisdom that draws abundance without chasing it? Tonight, I will hand you the principles, not mine, not man, but the same timeless truths Baldwin carried. How to govern your thoughts so they don't betray you. how to build wealth without bowing to it, how to hear the voice of truth in silence, how to stand so steady that even suffering respects your throne. A man's throne is first built in his mind. Before Baldwin ever sat upon stone and gold, he sat upon his thoughts. See, wisdom begins not with action but with order. And if you look close at your own life, you'll see most men are ruled by scattered thoughts. They wake up to noise, they drift in distraction, and they lay down with confusion humming like flies in their skull. That no kingdom, that a prison. Baldwin's first law of wisdom was this: govern your mind, or it will govern you. He understood that the battlefield is not only fought with steel, but with silence. His body betrayed him daily, yet his thoughts never knelt. He chose what to dwell on. He chose what to refuse. He understood something you need to write in your bones. What you meditate on, you magnify. And what you magnify, you multiply. If you meditate on weakness, weakness multiplies. If you magnify your pain becomes your master. But if you meditate on wisdom, on strength, on vision, you expand. You become what you behold. So let me tell you, the first act of a man walking in Baldwin's shadow is this: guard your thoughts like a king guards his crown. Don't let every whisper of fear sit at your table. Don't let every rumor of doubt drink from your cup. You decide which thoughts gain entry, and you dismiss the rest. Because what enters your mind becomes your servant or your captor. The second law Baldwin lived was this: wealth is not to be chased, but attracted. Now don't mistake me. I ain't saying you sit idle and wait for coins to fall from heaven. No, the wise man works, but he does not work as a beggar, he works as a magnet. Baldwin knew that gold followed governance. Resources always flow toward structure, toward order, toward vision. That's why kings trusted him, why nobles invested in his word, why armies followed his crippled hands. Not because he demanded wealth, but because his wisdom created conditions where wealth had no choice but to arrive. Think of a field. A fool throws seed upon rock and begs for harvest. The wise man tends the soil first. He removes stones, tills the earth, waters with patience. He creates order, and in that order, life emerges. Wealth is no different. The reason it slips through your hands is because your soil isn't ready. Your habits are shallow, your vision scattered, your patience brittle. Baldwin knew better. He prepared the ground and the harvest came, even in the shadow of sickness. Now the third law. Hear the silence. You may not understand yet, but silence speaks louder than shouting. Most men fear silence, so they drown it with noise. They run from quiet nights, from still mornings, from empty hours. But Baldwin leaned into silence. Why? Because silence strips away illusion. In silence, you can't lie to yourself. In silence, your true thoughts echo. In silence, truth reveals itself like a whisper through the storm. If you want to walk in wisdom, you must learn to love silence, not as emptiness, but as counsel. Your next great step will not come from the noise of a crowd, but from the clarity of stillness. Baldwin sat in chambers with his body failing, yet he heard strategies no warrior could conceive, and he acted with clarity because he listened where others shouted. The fourth law. Suffering is not an enemy, but a forge. Baldwin's disease could have consumed him, made him bitter, made him despair. Instead, he turned it into steel. He let pain sharpen him, not shatter him. Most men curse their suffering, not realizing it the fire shaping their strength. Wisdom does not waste pain. It studies it, extracts it, bends it into power. You've been asking God to remove your hardship, not realizing that hardship is the classroom of wisdom. Without your struggles, you'd never have the depth to rule your own life. Without your losses, you'd never understand the way to victory. Baldwin wore his pain like armor. You can too, if you decide to treat it not as a curse, but as a tool. And now the fifth law. Power is nothing without humility. Baldwin understood something terrifying, that men drunk with power destroy themselves. He saw it in rival kings, he saw it in generals, he saw it in priests. Men who forgot they were mortal, men who believed crowns made them gods. But Baldwin, sick and frail, remembered his limits. That memory kept him strong, for humility is not weakness. Humility is the anchor that prevents wisdom from turning into arrogance. You want to know why Baldwin was trusted, even feared? Because men knew he was not ruled by ego. They knew he sought truth, not vanity. They knew he could be leaned on because he wasn't drunk on himself. That's why wisdom endures longer than charisma. Charisma entertains, wisdom sustains. So ask yourself, as you sit by this fire, where do you stand with these laws? Do you govern your thoughts, or do they govern you? Do you chase wealth like a beggar, or do you prepare soil like a king? Do you fear silence, or do you seek it? Do you waste suffering, or do you forge it? Do you drown in ego or do you anchor in humility? For these laws are not written in stone, they're written in men. They're waiting to be carved into you if you'll let them. Baldwin didn't invent them, he simply submitted to them. And in doing so, he became a beacon of wisdom in a world drunk on conquest. And hear me, these laws ain't optional. They are not decoration for the shelves of philosophers. They are the foundation. Ignore them, and you will repeat the same cycles of confusion. Honor them, and you will step into the kind of authority that cannot be stolen. So hear the truth you must carry into the marrow of your bones. Baldwin's strength wasn't in his body. It wasn't in armies or crowns or treasure. His strength was wisdom. And wisdom, my friend, is waiting for you. Not tomorrow, tonight, right here, right now. And if you're ready, truly ready, then what you'll hear will not just change your mind, it will reforge your spirit. You won't walk away the same man who sat down by this fire. For wisdom does not inform, it transforms. And the man who receives it becomes something the world cannot shape. So sit still, lean in, and let the rain wash away your noise. Baldwin wisdom is here. And if you'll listen, you may just rise from this night with the crown of understanding. A crown no thief, no doubt, no storm can steal. The sixth law of Baldwin wisdom is one most men run from. Discipline is freedom. Strange, isn't it? Most folks think freedom is doing whatever you please. They think freedom means no guardrails, no limits, no obligations. But Baldwin, living with a body that defied him daily, knew better. He knew freedom was not the absence of discipline, it was the reward of discipline. Think about it. A man who refuses discipline with his coin becomes a slave to debt. A man who refuses discipline with his time becomes a slave to urgency. A man who refuses discipline with his appetites becomes a slave to addiction. Without discipline, freedom rots into bondage. Baldwin couldn't afford the luxury of indiscipline. Every ounce of energy was measured, every move was chosen with care. His freedom to rule, to command, to be respected flowed not in spite of his limitations, but because of his discipline. The seventh law, relationships are wealth. Most men think wealth is stacked coins or acres of land. Baldwin knew better. Wealth is the trust of men, the loyalty of allies, the respect of those who stand beside you. He couldn't lift a sword, yet armies bent their knees to his command. Why? Because he had invested in people. He had spoken truth when others lied. He had honored men when others used them. His word was wealth. His honor was currency. You want to be rich? Don't just stack dollars. Stack trust. Stack loyalty. Stack men who would bleed for you because you've bled for them. That wealth that cannot vanish overnight. Markets crash, kingdoms fall, but the bond of trust endures storms. Baldwin's power wasn't in his crippled hand. It was in the hands of men who chose to follow him because his wisdom made them richer. The eighth law is this: vision outlives the vessel. Baldwin knew his body was failing. He knew his time was short, yet he did not waste hours mourning. Instead, he poured his vision into others. He planted seeds of wisdom in generals and priests and common men. He understood that a man is not truly wise until his wisdom outlives him. He refused to make his life about survival. He made it about legacy. And here, where most men fall short, they live as if death will never come, chasing pleasures, stacking possessions, pretending their breath is endless. Then death comes and their so-called wealth dies with them. Baldwin flipped the script. He lived knowing the end was near, and that urgency gave birth to legacy. His life became proof that wisdom is not measured by length of days, but by the depth of what you leave behind. The ninth law: emotions are horses, they are to be ridden, not obeyed. Baldwin was human. He felt fear, he felt grief, he felt anger, but he refused to bow to them. Instead, he rode them. He turned fear into vigilance, he turned grief into clarity, he turned anger into fuel. That's the mark of a wise man, not the absence of emotion, but mastery of it. You think strength means feeling nothing. No, partner. Strength means feeling fully and yet choosing rightly. Weak men are puppets, jerked around by every mood. Baldwin was no puppet. He felt storms but rode them steady, reins in hand. And that steadiness, that refusal to be ruled by storms, made him a fortress in the eyes of his people. The 10th law: truth is the only anchor worth tying to. Baldwin saw liars win quick battles but lose kingdoms. He saw men who twisted words for gain only to choke on their own deceit. He chose truth, and that choice made him unshakable. For truth, unlike gold or armies, does not rot, it does not vanish, it does not wither under time's sun. When you live by truth, men may fight you, but they cannot break you. Lies will always betray their master. Truth will never betray its keeper. That's why Baldwin, broken in body yet rich in spirit, stood taller than men twice his height. His truth was his shield, and it outlasted his breath. The 11th law: stewardship over ownership. Baldwin never treated power as his possession. He treated it as a trust. A man obsessed with ownership clutches what is his until it slips through his hands. But a steward understands all things are temporary. Wealth, power, even breath itself, they are borrowed. A steward asks, how can I manage what I've been given in a way that multiplies good? That mindset makes a man dangerous. Why? Because he no longer fears loss, he no longer clings. He rules with open hands, not clenched fists. Baldwin ruled as a steward. He carried his crown like a borrowed tool, knowing it would pass to another. And that humility gave him strength. Why? Because men trusted a ruler who served something beyond himself. Stewardship freed him from greed, and in that freedom, his wisdom bloomed. And now, the 12th law, perhaps the most powerful faith, is sight beyond sight. Baldwin's body was crumbling. His future looked grim, but he did not see with mortal eyes alone. He believed in a higher order, a divine design, a purpose that outlived pain. That faith gave him sight others lacked. Where men saw despair, he saw opportunity. Where men saw endings, he saw beginnings. Faith is not blindness. Faith is vision sharpened by trust in what the eyes cannot yet see. That's why Baldwin could rule with courage. That's why he could carry wisdom through agony, because he believed there was something greater than his own suffering, greater than his own reign. Faith was the lens that made sense of his pain. Now listen close, because these 12 laws are not relics. They are not carved into forgotten stone. They are alive. They are waiting for a man bold enough to wear them. And that man, my friend, could be you. Not tomorrow, not when life feels easier, but right here, right now. So ask yourself again, will you govern your thoughts or will you be ruled by them? Will you attract wealth through order or chase it like a beggar? Will you embrace silence, forge suffering, and anchor in humility? Will you discipline yourself, build relationships, and plant legacy? Will you master emotion, walk in truth, steward your crown, and see with faith? If you say yes, if you breathe these words into your marrow, then you will carry Baldwin wisdom into your own days. And let me tell you that wisdom will outlive kingdoms, outlast sickness, and turn your life into a beacon others follow. Now you might be sitting there thinking, all right, cowboy, Baldwin a fine story, but what it got to do with me? Well, let me lay it plain. His crown may have been gold, yours may be a name badge, a desk, a set of calloused hands, but the laws that carried him can carry you just as sure. Take that first law, govern your thoughts. Look around you. How many men you know spend their whole day in slavery to voices that ain't even theirs? They scroll, they compare, they repeat doubts whispered by the world. Then they wonder why they're broken spirit. Baldwin would tell them your mind is your kingdom. If you don't rule it, somebody else will. Every morning, before the coffee, before the news, before the rush, sit still, breathe, declare who king over your thoughts. Tell yourself where you're going and shut the door to any voice that don't serve your destiny. You do that for 30 days and you'll see the chains start to crack. Now the law of wealth through order. Baldwin's world had coins and land, but yours has paychecks, bills, and digital accounts. The principle the same. You ain't broke because life is unfair. Most men are broke because their house is in disorder. They spend before they plan, they chase before they build. Wealth flees chaos like deer from fire. So bring order, write it down. Every dollar a soldier, send it where it needs to fight. Build a system, even a simple one. And when you've done it, wealth won't just come, it'll stay. That Baldwin law is true today as it was under the desert sun. Silence is strength. Now tell me, how many men drown themselves in noise because they can't stand the sound of their own thoughts? Music, chatter, endless feeds, distractions piled on distractions. But wisdom don't shout, it whispers. Baldwin ruled because he could sit in silence and hear the truth. Try it. Cut an hour of noise from your day. No phone, no talking, just you and your breath. At first it'll itch like fire, you'll want to escape, but lean in. On the other side of that quiet, you'll hear the voice of clarity. And clarity, my friend, is wealth beyond gold. Suffering is forged, this one hits hardest. We live in a world built to dodge pain. Pills for every ache, screens for every boredom, excuses for every struggle. But Baldwin leprosy was his forge. It burned weakness, hammered out strength. What your forge? Maybe it debt, maybe it rejection, maybe it a body that won't do what you want. Stop cursing it, stop wishing it gone. Look it in the eye and say, you will make me. Don't waste your suffering, shape it into strength. Humility is crowned. Now this right here might be the rarest jewel. We got men puffed up with nothing, loud online, empty inside. Baldwin bowed to truth, and that bowing lifted him higher than pride ever could. Humility don't mean weakness, it means strength with roots deep enough not to topple in a storm. Try it. Admit what you don't know. Honor the man who teaches you. Respect the one who builds alongside you. That humility will earn you crowns men chasing pride will never touch. Discipline is freedom. Modern men choke on this. They want freedom with no guardrails. They want health without habits, money without budgets, strength without sweat. But Baldwin's limp body proved the law. Discipline carves freedom out of stone. So write your rules. Simple ones. Wake at a set time, move your body daily, save before you spend, speak truth even when it costs, keep them like commandments, and watch freedom grow from the soil of discipline. Relationships is wealth. Baldwin had men who would bleed for him because he had bled for them. Now ask yourself, who'd fight for you? Who'd stand when you fall? Most men are bankrupt here, rich only in followers, poor in real friends. Invest different. Call a man and ask about his struggle. Give without a ledger. Be present when others are weak. That coin that never rusts. Vision outlives the vessel. Write your vision down. Plant it in your kids and your friends, in the men who walk beside you. Too many live for Friday nights and forget they'll die someday. Baldwin lived with death breathing on his neck, yet that urgency made his life eternal. Live like that. Emotions as horses feel, but don't obey. Your anger, your grief, your fear, ride 'em, steer 'em. Don't let 'em steer you. That Baldwin secret. The man who masters emotion becomes unmovable. Truth as anchor. You live in a time where lies are currency. Everyone's selling a mask, but Baldwin bet on truth. And when the lies rotted, his truth stood firm. Make truth your brand, even if it costs, especially if it costs. That anchor will keep you steady when storms come. Stewardship over ownership. Treat your job, your money, your health, your family as trusts, not trophies. You don't own them. You're just a steward passing through. That mindset kills greed and grows gratitude. Baldwin ruled with borrowed strength and became stronger for it, and faith as sight beyond sight. This one you can't fake. Baldwin believed in something greater, and that belief gave him eyes sharper than fear. You need that. When all looks lost, faith whispers, not yet. When doors close, faith says they're another. Faith is the lens that makes you see destiny where others see despair. Friend, Baldwin wisdom ain't ancient relics. It's a playbook. You can carry it right now, in your boots, in your breath, in your battles. The man who does will walk taller, stand firmer, and leave a mark death itself can't erase. Now I want you to lean in close, because what I'm about to give you ain't just talk, it's a tool. Baldwin didn't walk through the fire of his days by accident. He rose because every morning and every night he tied his soul to unshakable truths. He spoke them to himself until they carved lines deeper than fear. And you, right now, can do the same. You see, life don't care about your excuses. It don't care that you're tired or broke or doubting. It don't care about the little storms that seem to pound on your roof every night. But life bows, oh, it bows low, to the man who commands it with law, with principle, with a voice that knows where it's going. That's why these words matter. They're not prayers to the wind. They're orders to your spirit. So hear the mantra. If you'll dare, make these your own. Whisper 'em when you wake. Speak 'em when you're tempted to quit. Say 'em before your head hits the pillow so your dreams know what road they're riding. They ain't just Baldwin words. They'll be yours the moment you let 'em take root. Say this: my mind is my kingdom, and I am its ruler. No thought enters without my consent. No fear reigns without my approval. Order is my wealth. Every choice, every coin, every hour, I place them with care, and abundance comes to dwell in my house. Silence is my ally. In the stillness, I hear the voice of wisdom, and it guides me where noise never could. My suffering is my forge. Every wound, every weight, every setback, it burns weakness and builds my strength. Humility is my crown. I bow to truth, and in bowing, I rise. Discipline is my freedom. What I command of myself today, tomorrow will reward in kind. Relationships are my treasure. I build men, and in return I am built. Vision is my compass. My eyes see beyond today, and my steps carve a legacy that outlives my breath. My emotions are my horses. I ride them with steady hands. They do not master me, I master them. Truth is my anchor. No tide of lies can move me. No storm of doubt can sink me. I am a steward, not an owner. All that I hold is entrusted, and I return it multiplied. Faith is my sight. Where others see walls, I see doors. Where others see death, I see destiny. Now let those words burn in you. Don't rush them. Don't just hear them once and walk away. Write them down. Speak them aloud. Drill them into the marrow of your bones until your very walk carries them. You may not be a king, you may not wear robes, but let me tell you, The man who carries wisdom rules the same way Baldwin ruled. Not through power, not through armies, not through crowns, but through a soul anchored in law. And when you walk into tomorrow, men will notice. They'll see something they can't name. Your presence will weigh more than your words. Your silence will cut sharper than their noise. Your calm in the storm will shame their panic. That the power Baldwin carried. That the power waiting in you. Now the fire burning low and the rain tapping steady on the roof. Before this night ends, I'll leave you with this. Stop chasing what Baldwin never chased. Stop begging for what he never begged. Don't hunt gold, don't bow to crowns. Hunt wisdom, chase law, bow to truth. Do this, and gold will follow like a dog on a leash. Respect will bow without your asking. Peace will wrap itself round you like a cloak in winter. And death itself, when it comes, will find you unafraid, for you'll have left a kingdom no grave can bury. So tomorrow, when the sun cracks the horizon, stand tall, breathe deep, and speak the mantra again. And again the day after that, and again the day after that. Baldwin's crown may have rested in Jerusalem, but your crown will rest on your mind, your choices, your fate. That the secret wisdom of Baldwin IV. And now, partner, it's yours. Now some men will hear these words tonight and let them drift away with the smoke from this fire. They'll nod, they'll say, "That good," and tomorrow they'll walk back into the same cage, the same doubt, the same habits that keep them broke in mind and spirit. That not you, not if you've sat here this long, not if you've let Baldwin law sink into the marrow of your bones. See, Baldwin didn't just carry wisdom like a trinket in his pocket. He applied it daily, steady as the turning of the earth. He woke knowing that his mind was both fortress and battlefield, and so is yours. You may not be surrounded by crusaders or courts, but make no mistake, you're at war all the same, against fear, against laziness, against the quiet poison of excuses. Let me show you how this plays out, plain as cattle tracks in dust. A man without wisdom wakes up late, already behind, already flustered. His day owns him. Every knock on the door, every bill, every argument, he reacts, jumps, bends, bows. He like a leaf tossed on the wind. And by sundown, he worn out, not because he worked hard, but because he had no anchor. But a man with wisdom, he wakes before the world stirs. He speaks his law. He steadies his spirit before the storm. So when the winds blow, and they always do, he don't fly off like that leaf. He bends like a rooted oak, unshaken, unmoved. Folks around him wonder why he calm when all else is chaos. They don't see it, but it's the wisdom Baldwin carried, alive in his veins. Here another truth most men overlook. Wealth is not first a number in your account, it's the order of your mind. You can hand a fool 10 million and by winter he'll be begging. You can hand a wise man $10 and by spring he'll have turned it into a garden that feeds his household. That's why Baldwin, though a king, cared more for order than for gold. Gold can vanish, wisdom can rebuild it. Let's talk about time. Baldwin ruled knowing his days were numbered. You've likely got more years than he did, yet most men waste them as if they'll never end. They spend hours arguing, scrolling, complaining, drifting. They don't measure their hours, so their hours vanish like water spilled in sand. A wise man treats every day like coin. He invests it where it multiplies. He don't trade gold for gravel, and he don't trade time for trifles. Now think on your emotions. Baldwin was a leper, his body rotting while he lived. If ever a man had reason to rage at the heavens, it was him. Yet history tells us he ruled with composure, with balance. That no accident. He learned early that emotions, like wild horses, will drag a man into the ditch if left untamed. But give him a bridle, guide him with a steady hand, and those same wild horses will pull your chariot straight into destiny. Your anger, harness it. Don't waste it on shouting at your neighbor. Use it to fuel discipline, to push through tired bones when the world says quit. Your fear, don't curse it. Shape it into respect, the kind that makes you prepare, the kind that keeps your blade sharp and your eyes open. Your grief, don't drown in it. Let it carve you, make you deeper, gentler, more capable of carrying another man's load. That wisdom, not killing emotion, but mastering it. And hear a lesson Baldwin whispered without words. True strength bows before truth. He knew he wasn't invincible. He knew disease stalked his flesh. Yet in bowing to reality, he found power beyond his body. A fool denies the truth and breaks against it. A wise man bows to truth and bends it into an ally. Now listen to me, because this part for you and no one else. Tonight, while the fire burns and the rain sings steady, I'm handing you the chance Baldwin handed to his people. The chance to choose wisdom as your crown. It starts small. Tomorrow morning, don't reach for your phone. Don't rush into noise, sit in silence. Speak the mantra I gave you. Choose one principle, just one, and let it guide your day. Maybe it's discipline, maybe it's silence, maybe it's stewardship. Whatever it is, live it like Baldwin himself handed it to you. By nightfall, you'll notice something. The day bends different. And if you'll keep at it, not for one day, not for 1 week, but for seasons, then the man you are now will be unrecognizable. Doubt will look for you and not find you. Fear will knock on your door and leave empty-handed. Wealth will track your steps like a hound. Peace will settle on you like the hush after a storm. That the promise Baldwin carried, and that the promise you can carry too. Not borrowed, not begged, but built in your marrow, day by day, choice by choice. So don't just let this night pass like any other. Mark it, carve it into memory. Tell yourself, here is where I chose wisdom over noise. Here is where I chose to be king of my mind, not a servant to my fears. The fire nearly out now, embers glowing soft, but wisdom burns hotter than flame. Carry it with you, partner. Carry it into tomorrow. And when men ask why you walk taller, why your eyes hold steady, why your words carry weight, just smile and remember Baldwin's crown didn't die with him. You're wearing it now. There's something most men don't want to face, and Baldwin knew it better than anyone. Flesh is weak, time is short, and every empire of dust will fall. The question ain't whether your body breaks or your castle crumbles. The question is this: what outlives you? Baldwin's hands were frail, his face marred by disease, but kings and knights still bowed before him. Why? Because they didn't see a man dying, they saw a man carrying a law that no sickness could touch. You too are carrying something tonight, though you might not know it. You're carrying either wisdom or folly. And whichever you carry, it will spill into your children, your friends, your work, your name. Most men leave their heirs nothing but debt and regret. They build houses, but no heritage, chase coin, but leave no compass. Baldwin, with a body failing him daily, still built a legacy that echoed beyond the grave. Not because he stockpiled wealth, but because he taught his people how to see through the fog of fear, how to stand tall even when the flesh crumbles. Now let's tie this into your world. Maybe you ain't wearing a crown, but don't fool yourself, you're ruling something. You rule your habits, your household, your time. You rule the story you tell yourself every morning. And if you neglect that rule, if you drift like a lazy king, you'll find your kingdom stolen right out from under you. Hear the part Baldwin would whisper if he were here by this fire: rule your mind, or it will be ruled for you. That voice of doubt that was planted there by cowards, by men who shrank and wanted you to shrink with them. That habit of wasting hours that the devil tax, stealing your coin of time before you ever get to invest it. Wisdom starts by seizing back the throne. Picture your life like a fortress. A fool leaves the gates open, lets every distraction, every cheap pleasure, every unexamined belief march right in and take residence. No wonder his treasury empty. No wonder his peace is plundered. A wise man, he guards his gates. He decides what gets in. He filters noise, casts out lies, and only admits truth, discipline, and vision. You want Baldwin wisdom? Start building walls around your mind, and let talk about wealth, because too many men chase it like hounds chasing smoke. Baldwin didn't ask for riches, he asked for wisdom, and riches bent their knee. That a law as steady as the stars. Wisdom attracts wealth the way rivers seek the sea. Why? Because wisdom teaches stewardship. A fool wastes, a wise man multiplies. A fool spends his last coin on pleasure. A wise man plants his coin where it grows into orchards. I'll tell you straight, if your pockets are empty tonight, it ain't fate and it ain't luck. It law. Somewhere you've been serving folly instead of wisdom. And the good news is you can switch masters. Start today. Speak before you spend. Does this multiply me or does it drain me? Baldwin built his reign not on greed, but on clarity. And clarity will fatten your barns quicker than greed ever could. But wealth without wisdom is a curse. You've seen men win lotteries and end worse than they began. You've seen kings topple because they had gold but no compass. Baldwin reminds us, riches don't define a man, the law he lives by does. You want gold to chase you? Don't chase gold, chase wisdom, and gold will come knocking, begging to serve. Now lean closer, 'cause here a lesson so sharp it cuts deep. Wisdom demands sacrifice. Baldwin sacrificed ease. He sacrificed comfort. He sacrificed the lie that life owed him softness. You too will have to lay something down. Maybe it laziness, maybe it bitterness, maybe it that secret habit that keeps you chained when you should be free. Don't think you can carry folly in one hand and wisdom in the other. Baldwin carried a crown in one hand and a cross in the other. He chose the heavier load, and that load turned into glory. What your sacrifice going to be? The man who refuses to answer that question is already defeated. The man who answers it and lays it down daily will find strength that confounds the mighty. Now let me show you a different angle. Baldwin didn't waste breath asking why me. He asked what now? That the pivot from victim to king. You can sit in your misery, counting all the reasons life unfair, or you can rise like Baldwin, crown your mind with wisdom, and ask the one question that changes everything. What can I build today with what I have? You may not have riches, you may not have health, you may not have support, but you've got something. And if you'll put it in wisdom hand, it'll multiply. That Baldwin secret. Not the absence of hardship, but the mastery of it. And I'll leave you with this image. Picture Baldwin on his horse, weak in body but fierce in spirit, riding into battle not because his flesh could win it, but because his wisdom demanded it. Men followed not his strength, but his law. And in the same way, folks around you, your children, your friends, even strangers, they're waiting for a man who'll ride into the chaos with wisdom as his armor. That man could be you. So partner, tomorrow when dawn breaks and rain has washed this night clean, you'll have a choice. Live as a leaf, blown about by every storm, or live as Baldwin taught a king in spirit, a master of your mind, a man whose wisdom outlasts flesh and fortune. The fire may die, but the law doesn't. Carry it, guard it, live it, and one day when folks speak your name, they won't remember how strong your body was, but how steady your wisdom held. Most men think a crown sits on the head. Baldwin knew better. The real crown sits inside a man's mind, and the heavier the crown, the sharper the choices. That's why fools can't bear it. They want authority without discipline, riches without restraint, applause without sacrifice. But Baldwin carried his crown, sickness and all, because his wisdom kept his spine straighter than his body ever could. Hear a truth most won't admit. Every man listening to my voice tonight already has a crown. You may not see it. It may be crooked, dented, nearly slipping off. But the crown is there, because life itself crowned you the ruler of your domain, your mind, your hours, your habits. And if you don't rule with wisdom, you'll find another king ruling in your place, distraction, doubt, or desire. They'll sit on your throne, use your treasury, and you'll wonder why your life feels bankrupt. So let's talk dominion, because Baldwin teaches us that dominion ain't about how many soldiers march in your name. Dominion is self-mastery. The man who rules himself cannot be conquered. Disease couldn't conquer Baldwin, betrayal couldn't conquer him. Even death couldn't stain his name, because wisdom had written it in fire on the pages of history. That's the kind of dominion I want for you. Not a hollow title, but a crown forged in your own furnace of discipline. Now imagine your life 30 years from now. What story are you writing with today's choices? Too many men drift through decades only to wake at 65 with nothing but scraps. No wealth, no health, no heritage. Why? Because they confused busyness for wisdom. They worked, aye, but they didn't build. They hustled, but without law. Baldwin whispers from the grave.
Haste without wisdom is vanity. Work without vision is slavery.
You want to live different? Anchor every effort to wisdom. Ask yourself, does this plant seeds or scatter dust? The wise man doesn't chase the next shiny thing. He digs deep into timeless law, and law will always outlive trends. Baldwin Rain outlasted his body because he tied it to principles, not appetites. And you can do the same. Here another angle Baldwin sharpened. Wisdom isn't timid. A lot of folks think wisdom means waiting, hiding, second-guessing. That cowardice dressed up as caution. True wisdom steps forward with clarity, even when risk is high. Baldwin rode into battles he shouldn't have survived, not because he was reckless, but because he knew indecision kills faster than a sword. And brother, the same is true for you. Delay rots dreams. Hesitation rusts opportunity. Every time you wait when wisdom says move, you're handing your crown to fear. You might be thinking, but I'm no king, no warrior. I'm just trying to pay bills and keep afloat. That's where you're wrong. Every bill you pay, every decision you make, every hour you spend is either building a kingdom or dismantling it. Don't belittle your rule. The smallest dominion, your habits, your words, your family, can become the strongest fortress if wisdom lays the stone. Baldwin also knew that wisdom must be tested in silence. Too many men shout, tweet, argue, and parade themselves as wise, but noise ain't proof of wisdom. Silence is. Why? Because silence forces you to listen to the deeper law written inside you. Baldwin prayed in silence, listened in silence, ruled from silence. Wisdom does not scream, it speaks with weight. That's why when Baldwin opened his mouth, men obeyed. Let me tell you a secret: most overlook wisdom multiplies when shared. Fools hoard knowledge, afraid of losing advantage. Wise men give it, knowing truth ain't diminished by division. Baldwin poured wisdom into his knights, his people, his court. That's why his kingdom didn't collapse when his flesh did. If you want your life to matter, don't hoard what you know. Teach it, speak it, write it, build others with it. A man who shares wisdom builds a lineage that disease and death cannot erase. Now let return to wealth, because wealth without wisdom is fire in the wrong hands. Baldwin reign shows that riches follow wisdom because wisdom governs desire. How many fortunes have been lost because men couldn't tell the difference between need and greed? How many lives broken because pleasure shouted louder than principle? Baldwin's body was weak, but his desire was under control. That's why his riches served him, not the other way around. Ask yourself tonight, are you master of your desires, or are they master of you? Every craving is a chain if you let it lead, but when you train desire to serve your purpose, it becomes fuel for your fire. That Baldwin balance, not denial of pleasure, but governance of it. Eat when it strengthens you, not when it dulls you. Spend when it multiplies, not when it robs you. Speak when it builds, not when it wounds. That wisdom, plain and simple. And here where most men fail, they confuse knowledge with wisdom. Knowledge fills bookshelves, wisdom builds kingdoms. Knowledge can be bought, wisdom must be lived. Baldwin didn't just know law, he walked it. He didn't just hear truth, he embodied it. That's the call for you tonight, to stop collecting information like trinkets and start living truth like armor. The rain outside may lull your body, the fire may warm your bones, but don't mistake this moment for entertainment. This is a summons, just as Baldwin life was a summons. A call to rule your domain with wisdom, to guard your crown, to leave a legacy carved not in stone but in law. So when the night fades and morning comes, you'll rise with two choices. Carry on as before, a servant to folly, or crown yourself anew with Baldwin wisdom. Rule your mind, rule your time, rule your desires, and you'll find wealth, peace, and legacy flowing to you as steady as rivers to the sea.